Welcome into another edition of Game Changers. Mike Cunha alongside Kim Boatcamper, who's stolen my phone.
The hijinks are starting. You're ready to give his phone back. Isn't that illegal?
I think so. Violation of privacy.
Guys have kids and they just go crazy on pictures. They have
well, there's not a kid on here. There's two dogs.
There's doggies.
Those are my children.
So the dogs
are my children.
So the dogs are more important than your child.
No, my child's the next thing.
So you can't win if you put the kids. You get.
How would you like? How would you like that if your husband had your dogs on his phone rather than your firstborn?
Almost as much as if your football team went undefeated and you're going to play for the championship.
There you go.
Kind of similar.
Hey, sounds like that.
There's the newborn. She's on the home screen.
The home screen.
Okay. Let's
enough about Mike's phone.
You guys want to work?
Let's talk about the Knowles a little bit.
We'll get there. Next block. Believe me, we've got things to say.
And Cunha called it, by the way, on this show a few weeks ago when they came out and they were fifth. You called it.
You knew it.
It was pretty obvious that the committee wasn't going to leave them. But again, we're going to get to that. We got other things we got to get to, starting with the Miami Dolphins. They've got 5 games left on the schedule. 4 of them will be at home. Right now, the Dolphins own the #1 seed in the AFC. Clap it up. Nice job by them. It's been a while since we've had this feeling here in December.
Has it ever?
Yes. So my question to you guys is, get the whiteboards out. How will they finish?
Oh, they're out now.
How will they finish?
Oh, we're going to the whiteboard right now.
Right out the
Early
gate.
to the whiteboards. Cunha.
Cool, they'll start with you because your board's up.
Okay.
How will they finish these 5 games? What will the record be in the 5 games? And then where will they finish in the AFC?
Well, to quote without quoting, it's a family show. The head coach during Hard Knocks, bleep this 8-3 bleep. And they got to 9-3. I'm going to say they keep winning at home.
4-1.
But the #2 seed.
Okay, so I'm guessing.
So, I think they're going to run the table at home. I do. I think they're unbeatable at Hard Rock. They've won 17 of 19, best run in the stadium's history.
Who do they lose to?
And 5 in a row. Well, that game in Baltimore on New Year's Eve, I'm a little scared of it. Maybe I'm too scared.
4-1.
You win the division.
Win the AFC East.
Well, we know that, but that's not the question.
Not sure if they're going to get the bye.
Okay.
Well, that's the question.
They get like 2.
They win the AFC East. They get the home field. Jets still sink.
We know that.
Jets still sink.
We know that.
Checks out.
Patriots, ouch.
Right.
So there you go.
You have to put the go.
That's what I see.
But that's not the question. He asked where the seed would be.
So I'm guessing if the Dolphins finish the 2nd seed,
it would be the AFC East. That would be the 2nd seed.
No, it could
I
be
said
the
they
first
weren't going to get the bye.
Okay. So you think 2nd seed or
I
lower?
do.
Okay, so we're in the same.
So Baltimore.
All right, so we're swimming in the same tank.
Thanks, Flipper.
For the first time ever on this show, we basically all agree. I'm with you, 4-1, but I'm saying
the
#1
seed. Bye week and home field you're talking about.
And here's why. I think they win the next 4 and possibly call off the Dogs against the Bills. In Week 18. So I think that's the perfect scenario.
You mean if they don't need it?
If they don't
that's a good point. They may not need it.
If they don't need it.
Good point.
Because that game is to be determined. We don't know what time. That may be a big game for the Bills, but it might be wrapped up for the Dolphins.
Let me tell you, if your scenario happens, you guys better get your boots and your fancy clothes on because you're going to Vegas. They're going to the Super Bowl.
I don't like calling the Dogs off though. I don't. That last game where you don't play your guys, and especially if you get that bye week, you don't play for 2 weeks until you get out there and you come out there and you're dragging.
I hate to tell you, I agree with you. You play the starters at least a good part of the game.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yes, but not again, playing the entire game is calling the Dogs off.
Well, pretty close. Across the bridge when we get there, but I agree with you in general.
I want the Black and White show, week 18, leading them to a win.
I still got to feel like they're going to need that game. You think everybody else is going to?
Well, I think
because remember they have to be 2 games ahead of the Chiefs for that game not to matter.
Well, they're already a game ahead of them.
Right, but they have to be 2 up for the game not to matter because they get the tiebreaker.
But if they win out to that point,
it's true. They probably will be. Kansas City loses 1 game.
I think this team, for their mental state going into the postseason, needs to go to Baltimore and beat the Baltimore Ravens on the road. A good football team for their own belt, for their own well-being.
What if they beat Dallas at home though? You're feeling good about that.
I feel about that, but it's not on the road, and so you're still.
You want one on the road.
I want.
Guess what though? If they do what he says, they don't need to win one on the road.
I want one on the road again. I just want it for their mental state. We can do this if we need to do this.
By the way, he wants that game in Baltimore to be a 1 o'clock kickoff. If they could do it at noon, he'd love that even more.
Sure.
Because New Year's Eve, no one's a bigger New Year's partier than this guy.
He's got the hat, he's got the horns going.
Champagne.
See, you don't even need a horn. You got your own horn.
All right, you were chanting Van Ginkel's name a second ago. He may have been the MVP of last week's game, but there's two other guys who are in contention, I think, this year for, and it's pretty obvious, not just me, but Tua and Tyreek. I'm asking you guys, will the real MVP
throw over the catcher? Throw over the catcher.
Is it? Yeah. Is it the thrower? Is it the catcher? Who is the MVP?
Well, look, it's hard to go. I think Tyreek's the MVP of the league. I think he's had the best season of anybody at a position that he's having a historic season. No one's had more yards at this point. He's on pace for the first 2,000-yard guy. We've been talking about this since training camp. His intensity, the way he practices, everything he brings to the table, he elevates everybody. Remember the game against Carolina when they were down? Without him scoring and running up and down the sideline, getting everybody going, that could have been one of those games where a team slips. The Dolphins don't slip. They win every game they're supposed to win. That said, Tua does handle the football on every play, and that's why a wide receiver's never won the award.
Right.
That's why it's been a quarterback award. If it's me, I vote for Tyreek.
Tyreek is the most dynamic player I've seen on a football field in person. The way he comes out of breaks, the sharpness with how he makes his cuts and all those things. And not only that, this kid wants to play every down. He gets hurt, and he comes right back in and gives me more. He is just an amazing, amazing guy. And look, for what he's done, if he gets to 2,000 yards, MVP for the league, MVP for the Miami Dolphins, no doubt in my mind.
I agree. When you do something historic, I think that's what changes the conversation.
What if Tua throws for 5,000, which he might?
He's not going to.
Doesn't need much.
Well, 2,000 of those yards will be.
If Tyreek gets to 2, Tua may get to 5.
May get to 5,
right? Because that's 500 right there. That brings him to 4,300.
Right. By the way,
right off the bat.
By the way, and here's another thing too. Like, so let's say, and back to my point about calling off the dogs against the Bills, possibly if Tyreek's already at 2,000 and they've locked everything up, another half, and then plus the extra week off. I'm sitting.
Maybe guys that are banged up, but I agree with your premise, Bo.
Well,
don't take your foot off the gas. And hopefully they have to worry about this.
Maybe you play a half, but I just don't. I just think sitting guys down. Look. We even when I played for Coach Shula in the preseason, we would always play in our last preseason game. All the vets would play in that game because he wanted to come out. He wanted to come out for the home opener with everybody having played a full game and going that way. It's changed since that, but it worked very well for us during the course of time. And I think it's a very similar situation going. Do you want to be sharp going into that first preseason game, or do you want to have a week off or 2 weeks off before you pick up that football
game? Based on what you just said, they're going to play a lot of the guys because Mike McDaniel plays his guys in the preseason.
He does.
I mean, the Dolphin players play in the preseason,
especially in the last 2 years.
Because what he said, and we were in those production meetings, and we've asked him, and he says, Mrs. McDaniel, to be good at football, you have to play football. So he plays Tua during the preseason. He plays Tyreek. So, and at home against the Bills, guys are going to want to play in that game.
By the way, what a callback to the production meeting.
Remember a lot of that stuff.
That was great. Yeah.
By the way, my man Mike McDaniel is becoming a fashion plate around.
He's catching up to you.
First it was the shoes. Now he's got the jacket, the big fur line.
The fur.
You're
like Joe Namath.
Like Joe Namath. There you go. That's what I was going to say. Walking in like Joe Namath.
Well, you
got to grow a Fu Manchu now.
Listen, when you do a 30-minute show every week with Kim Bokamp, you got to raise your game.
You got to step it up.
You got to step it up in that.
I wear the same shirt every week.
Remember that jacket?
I haven't even washed the shirt that I wore there.
Those sneakers that he wears cost more than everything you've worn all year on that show. Aren't those sneakers like $2,000?
Something like that? I looked up one of the sneakers.
Yeah, the off-white.
There was one in the preseason he was wearing that was like $800.
Right.
I don't know how much the off-white.
And he's running around on grass where it's like muddy and stuff. If we had those, we'd be like walking on our
Let me give you another little monetary tidbit that really means nothing to anybody but me.
Okay.
The kicker, the long snapper.
Yeah.
Right?
Blake
Ferguson makes more in 1 year than I made my entire career.
You know how I know that? Because you haven't worn socks in 10 years.
He's got the skin-colored socks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, still to come on Game Changers.
I don't own any socks
We're finally going to get to the FSU
Jim doesn't
topic.
like it, so I keep doing it.
It's going to be the debate that won't go away till next year when the playoff expands to 12 teams. But we're going to break it down one more time because you need it. Game Changers.
Roll Tide.
Oh, my God. Welcome back to Game Changers. Time to talk about everyone's favorite topic in the world of sports, and that is FSU not getting into the college football playoff. Look, it's been debated.
How'd you do that?
Left, right, and center. I'll ask you guys really quickly because we haven't talked about it in this show, and then we'll move on. But did you guys think, Goldie, that FSU should have gotten in?
If I had a vote, yes, they won every game.
Yes.
But this committee should have made it more transparent. Strength of schedule is a big part of this. The real culprit in this are the Miami Hurricanes and NC State and all these other garbage teams and Syracuse.
Victim blaming.
In the ACC because the Noles only played 2 teams over 500, Clemson and LSU. Now, they won those games. Then the injury happens. The committee should have made it clear strength of schedule matters. Alabama was 5th, FSU was 55th, and just admit it. Whoever wins the SEC is getting one of the 4 spots.
Yeah.
If they would have said that before, it would have been a different story.
It don't matter.
To me, Knowles should have made it. They won all the games. There's nothing else they could do.
They're in a power conference.
Right?
Yes.
They're undefeated.
Well, I don't know how powerful the conference is,
but it's, quote, a power conference. They're undefeated.
They won them all.
They're undefeated. Your quarterback went down, still went out and beat Louisville and ran it down their throats without having a quarterback. They won in a different way than they did all year long, but they won. That, to me, negates the fact that, hey, your quarterback's hurt. Not sure. And now look, Coach Norville could have kind of eased this thing out a little bit if after the game he said, injury's not as bad as we thought.
He should have done that.
I think he could be ready to move forward.
Should have. Okay.
That might have changed. That might have changed the whole dynamic.
I have eyes, and I saw that kid's leg snap.
No.
Still, though,
I don't need that. Listen,
he probably should have done that, though, realistically.
The game's a month and a half away.
Here's the problem. The SEC gets awarded for how well they've played in the past. The SEC.
Well, Alabama did meet the team that won 29 in a row.
The SEC. Okay, and if I'm going to argue about Georgia right now, this is the worst Georgia team in 3 years.
Yeah, they struggled this year.
I think the SEC in totality was not very good this year, or not as good as they've been in the past. They got rewarded on past success, and that's what happened. Because Alabama, I mean, we've seen Alabama, Texas. Do we need to?
Let the committee admit if there's a one-loss team in the SEC. They are going to get it over an undefeated team. But say that beforehand, because that's the way they feel.
But they should. Like, they got to stop with this. If you
will stop if you say there's going to be more teams next year.
If you want to look at this in a vacuum, which everyone's taking Florida State in, then look at the SEC in a vacuum too.
Right. We all would have voted for the Noles.
By the way, here's the other thing. Yeah. If everyone thinks Georgia is still that good, and Georgia would beat every other team in the Final Four right now, why is Georgia ranked behind Florida State? So they technically the committee thinks Florida State is better than Georgia, and everyone's saying, oh, the SEC is so strong. That win from Alabama is so great.
Let's take a look at Alabama from the season on.
Yeah.
Maybe their worst offensive team that we've seen in decades. Brutal offensive team. Now, not to forget, not to throw in all the first, second, third pick quarterbacks in the draft that came out of Alabama that aren't playing for anybody anymore.
They're on teams at this point.
They're on teams, but they're not playing for anybody. So if they can have a crappy quarterback and get in, why can't Florida State have a crappy quarterback and get in, going undefeated when Alabama lost one game?
It's real rich of like the Greg McElroys of the world to say that the quarterback play for FSU isn't that good for them to be in the playoffs.
So here's my other question. Simple. You had whatever money you have in your pocket, jokes aside, you had to put it on the table. Alabama's kicking off in 5 minutes against Florida State. Who are you putting your money on? Who are you picking?
I'd take Florida. Florida State.
I might take Florida State.
I would.
Because they've proven that they'll win despite who.
Pretty good.
Let me tell you what.
Really good.
See, I think
they might have the best wide receiver tandem in the country.
I think Alabama would beat them in a game.
I think Florida State wins both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I think their receivers are better, and I think their secondary is better.
Their D is
and their
great.
linebackers are pretty darn good too.
Yeah. That defensive line.
I think Alabama. I think they look.
But they got no quarterback.
Huh?
Well, they would have their second string quarterback take Rodemaker.
Alabama. So this may be the first.
They might not have beat Louisville if you didn't bring the other guy in to run in that touchdown.
This may be the first year Alabama quarterback doesn't get drafted. Period.
Yeah. All right, so I want to ask you another question about this because luckily we do get a great orange one out of this. That is the side effect of
Not for the loser. The loser has no case, by the way.
Right. Georgia and Florida State will play down here in the Orange Bowl. So how do you handle this? Because, I mean, you hear fans saying ridiculous things like boycott this. I think that is incredibly dumb. This is a chance. I do. I think it's incredibly dumb because you have a chance to go out and prove that, look, you guys were so wrong.
Yeah, you have a case to make.
Yes, we have a case to make. And what happens if Florida State ends up as the only undefeated team left?
Yeah, what happens?
That'd be amazing. 14-0 and you didn't even get a chance.
Right. So let me ask you this: is there any precedent that all the teams all lose and Florida State can leapfrog all four?
No, because even if the games are close and bad games, they'll still keep one of them up there, right?
I believe the AP poll and the coaches poll act independently of the college football.
So they can do the old days.
So there'd be two.
Yes.
There was the one. Who was it? Washington. It was Washington and. In another one.
It's on way back. Yeah, the
Washington,
UPI.
Miami. Might have been Washington, Miami, no?
Yeah.
It was Washington, Miami.
AP, UPI poll days. You know, if Michigan beats up on Alabama and then wins the next game.
Yeah, that's their lock.
Yes,
that's Lock City.
Right.
But if Texas pull it, and the games aren't great games, and Alabama grinds one out.
Texas is kind of one of those teams you haven't really seen a lot of. You know, you heard, you read, you see what they're doing. But I haven't seen a lot of them.
Alabama saw a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, saw more than they wanted to see, right?
It just bothers me that the ACC is supposed to be one of these conferences, and you would think automatic if you're undefeated in one of those conferences, you get it. But the ACC was so bad and disappointing this year. All those teams stunk, and it killed the Noles because they're
so bad and disappointing. Yet had a winning record against the quote-unquote better conference.
Do we think?
Come on, dude, you watched them play. Clemson wasn't very good.
Do we think 12 teams? Playoff is going to make this better?
No, because you'll argue over 12-13.
Because 13-14. It's like the NIT.
Tulane will be arguing.
It's like the NIT.
Because you're not arguing about it undefeated.
But the Noles got, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's still going to be an argument.
The Noles got so shafted by this conference that their strength of schedule is 55th.
Yeah.
And the committee took that. Now, I still would have voted for the Noles. But if the ACC teams up and down the lineup from the Syracuses and the Hurricanes, if they were any good at all, that strength of schedule would have been top 20, and they would have been in this 14
But if you looked at all the records of all these ACC teams, their record was pretty good against other conferences this year.
So that's what I'm saying, is the SEC isn't as good as everybody thinks this year. Last year, years past, it's been so top-heavy with Alabama and Georgia. It's been fine. Yes, put them in. This year, I just don't think it's been as strong.
Still better than the Syracuses and Miami Hurricanes, I'll tell you that.
Next up,
Canes don't even know how to take a knee and secure a win.
Next up on Game
Wake
Changers.
Forest, Virginia.
Kim Camper won't be able to hit 350-yard drives anymore. We'll talk about why and some changes coming to golf. I'm sorry.
I can only hit him 150 now.
Game Changers coming back. Yeah.
You think he's listening to any rules? Come on.
Just throwing the ball. Welcome back to Game Changers. Some changes coming to the game of golf.
I just found out the producer of this is a Gator. So.
George, big Gator.
And he's in our ears, beer and
Not even bowl eligible.
Yeah.
Come on.
What do they win? 5 games?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think they were lobbying to get into the state high school playoffs.
I don't think they would have won.
Gators.
I think Chaminade
That was a cheap shot.
I think Chaminade made
By the way, I know we're doing this wrong topic,
sorry, all
but
you Gator fans.
is Billy Napier in trouble up there? Ooh. He might be. Seriously. I mean,
George, would you like to chime in?
No, but you can't go, hey, you don't have to win the SEC, but you can't go under 500 in the swamp. I mean, come on.
Yeah, in the SEC, you can get to a second-tier bowl game.
I'm surprised the Gators aren't in the Final Four.
I'm surprised they relegate them out of the conference. All right, let's get to this topic about the changing of golf balls. They're calling them rolled back golf balls, where they shorten the distance on some of this. You know, I think part of the game and the fun of it is watching the Mike, of the world.
Mike, just hit from the ladies' tees. Forget about it. Hit from the ladies' tees.
I can't go any further. That's where I play my game.
That'll solve the problem.
Do you guys like this for the game of golf?
I do. I'm a big golf fan. And look, I'm not a good player. I've played a lot, but I don't play very well. But I love nothing.
That's you, Bo.
I love nothing. And and usually when I'm in the sand like that, it takes me 3 shots to get out. But I like watching the game. I love watching golf on the weekends. In the off season. But these guys are hitting the ball so far.
Yeah.
Par fives. They're hitting them almost to the edge of the green now, par fives. And so it's getting a little bit too much. I'd like to get it back towards a little more than just banging the ball as far as you can get it, and a little bit more of the nuance of the game, the touch, the feel, the short game, all the stuff that really makes golf well.
Right, Goldie's gang. I mean, we gotta find a shorter course now, right? I know.
You know, and let's just go back to no 3-point line in the NBA.
Yeah.
Let's let people pulverize the quarterback. I mean, we're turning back the clock on all these sports.
Oh, you don't like this?
No, come on, man.
I like the big ball.
It's the new age of the let it go. What do we need to do? I mean, when McGuire was going for the home run record, well, actually they did. They made the balls tighter and they lowered the home runs. But
I don't know. The ice box again.
I don't have a big problem the way it is. I don't mind it.
I like it for the average golfer who can go out there. By the way, it's only going to take off a few yards for the average golfer.
That's all.
It's not that much. It will affect more pro golfers.
It's really about the pros because look,
you want to see them struggle a little bit more.
No. Look, but look, it's more the financial aspect of the game. You're having to extend golf courses. You got golf courses, especially the old golf courses, the U.S. Open courses. They don't have room to expand. So you got to now they just keep narrowing the fairways, making the course more difficult. If you just bring the ball back a little bit, it would automatically do that. And look, golf. You go to Japan. There are people that play golf all of their life in Japan and never get to a real golf course. They hit at driving ranges because they don't have enough land in Japan to have golf courses, and if they do, they're so expensive. So I think there's value in getting the ball shorter and allowing more people to get playing time on golf courses and get some new golf courses where they don't have them that people can go and enjoy.
That may have been one of your most eloquent points ever on the show. You go a little international. You drop a little Tokyo and Japan and driving ranges. That was impressive, Bo.
I mean, he travels the world.
I could go down under and talk about the game down there.
Well, now you're going to Australia.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what? We're talking about Australian rules football?
It's like the international man of mystery.
I like that.
He goes to Germany.
I'm a Brisbane Lion fan.
Yeah, you go to Frankfurt and have some food and some beers, and you think you know
everything. World traveler.
You know, I went to Frankfurt and didn't have any German food at all.
No.
None.
He hit up a Subway, a Burger King.
Something like pretty close.
Really?
I had a steak. I had a pizza.
You don't like trying the local fare when you go to different places?
No, Cuneo wasn't there, so I had to do all the work. I worked I worked my fingers to the bone.
Get the violin out?
I worked my fingers to the bone in Germany.
You got to go to Germany with the Dolphins.
I might as well just join the German army. I worked so much.
Such a nice week off I had here in Miami.
Okay, Klaus.
All right, more to come on Game Changers, including one very weird situation going on.
Nothing
in baseball.
Nothing.
Welcome back to Game Changers. Let's do a little what's trending. And Shohei Ohtani trending in Major League Baseball, not because he's a great pitcher or hitter, but because his contract negotiations as a free agent are kind of kept a secret. Some people don't like the fact that it's not one of these things where negotiating out in the media where they're pinning like the Dodgers and the Braves against
That's because Scott Boras isn't involved.
Right. Do you like that a superstar of this magnitude, guys, is trying to keep it as private as possible, to feel no pressure as he hits free agency? Maybe one of the biggest free agents baseball's ever seen.
He probably will end up being contract-wise not going to pitch for the next couple of years, so we'll see how it works out. But yeah, I think it's pretty classy. I mean, he's not bouncing around, just trying to get the most money and use teams against other teams and use the media, which we always see, players and agents do. So
drive the price up. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for what he's doing, to be honest with you.
Look, I think he's going to end up on the West Coast. I think he's going to be L.A., San Francisco, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I think that's where they've got L.A. and San Francisco have the money they can afford him, because they're talking about numbers up to $500-600 million, which is outrageous. But I think this guy's got the goods. He brings people to the stadiums. I think he's good for baseball. Got some more guys coming over from Japan that are doing similar things. But I just look, for me in my lifetime, to see a Major League Baseball player win a batting or chasing a home run record, chasing a batting average record, and chasing a win total as a pitcher. Right. I never thought I'd see it. And look, as growing up, I kept thinking, when I played baseball in high school, and you guys, I'm sure, played baseball, and usually your best player was your home run hitter and your pitcher.
Right.
So as they moved on to the big leagues, why don't they let them hit and pitch?
Yeah.
No, because they wanted to pitch. Well, now this is breaking that mold. So I think I think it's opening the door. We're going to see more more guys.
I hope so.
That want to pitch and hit at the same time because they've got the ability to do it.
I hope so.
I think it's been baseball that have neutered.
Well, it's that
from that
specialization,
point.
you know, as kids start to
exactly.
grow up. Same thing with a lot of kids.
Same with every sport.
There's a lot of kids not playing multiple sports.
Yeah.
You listen to any athlete that played multiple sports, they always say, the best thing I did was play multiple sports. But then, you know, when they get to a certain age, they stop doing that.
You know, I remember playing basketball, and then I can remember when I played football, lateral movement in basketball helped me in football. Different things in baseball. All the multitude of things that you get a tool bag to pull out of. You play one sport all your life, you got one tool bag to pull things out of.
Too bad nothing helped your jumper, though. I mean, we get these media games.
He
never played.
He hasn't walked into the Milpitas High School gym. 33 points, still a record.
Got the banner up there?
Still a record, a banner up there, and my jersey up there.
33
You got your jersey up in the rafters at
my house?
At Miami Country Day? At Miami Country Day School or wherever you went?
I go to Miami Country Day. Christopher Columbus. It's all about the sea, baby. Let's go.
You went to Joe Columbus High School.
Adelante.
Joe Columbus.
No, but I did see an article in ESPN saying that Shohei keeping this whole thing a secret was a disservice to baseball. And I felt
come on.
Well, you know, if you enjoy all this stuff, like the NBA is either the best or worst, whatever you like, with that, because everything is out there.
The NBA offseason is always more compelling.
No, but the NBA, a guy signs a contract.
Someone in the media said that because they think everyone should tell them everything.
Right.
In the NBA,
some things you don't need to know.
No.
In the NBA, a guy has 4 years left on his contract. They're already talking about where he's going next.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
Does he have no training?
And who's getting together? Oh, the four of us are going to go here, and the three of us.
On the plane ride from one team to the next, they're talking about what's the next
already.
team we're going to.
Now we didn't mind when all those guys got together and came here to Miami. Though. We didn't mind that.
And then everyone's got to worry about All-Star games and Olympics because now they're all teaming up, and the players are plotting like, hey, are we going to play together? Are you guys going to play together? We're going. What a
start
mess.
their own league.
But yes, wherever Otani
it wasn't a mess when Dwayne Wade did it, though.
No.
He got those guys to come. He got LeBron to go.
That was a fun time down here.
It was all good then.
That was a fun time down here. All right, that'll do it for Game Changers. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Yeah. Maybe the playoff committee will figure things out by then. Doubt it. But thanks for joining us.
Let it go, Cunha.
I will never.